the most important thing is that NATO has been built upon such values that are persistent, and these values are threatened or are challenged and are threatened to be undermined at any time.
It's the first alliance which brought together liberal democracies, countries which are liberal democracies, for the purpose of common defense.
NATO is one of the most important security organizations in the world, and without that, that could follow to state of anarchy. And somebody could question whether we need NATO, but we do.
If anybody said we don't need NATO, then he's supposed to offer an alternative, and I mean, like, at the moment there is no one else that can play the role as the NATO plays.
Yes, I think we still need NATO in 21st century. NATO has guaranteed unity and peace in Europe after the Second World War, and extend the space of stability to almost all Europe. So yes, we shouldn't be egoistic and open NATO for other members.
Although it is now possible to compare the age of NATO to an age of a human being, I strongly believe that in the future the NATO life cycle will not copy the life cycle of human being, and that the idea of democracy, solidarity and freedom will basically materialize in our society.
So we don't need NATO as the NATO of our fathers, as a NATO of 1.5 million soldiers in arms that are ready for some big clash somewhere in Europe. We need a new NATO, a more sophisticated NATO. We need NATO that is ready to respond to the new threats.
I think so. I think we need NATO because by entering NATO, every member state will be assured the security framework to handle potential threats that could challenge the stability of the country.
Slovakia is a small country that needs to be protected, and without NATO I would say that we could have been easily manipulated or influenced by the bigger players.
I believe we cannot rely just on ourselves when it comes to the security issues, and I strongly believe that we still need NATO today, and we will need it even more tomorrow.
NATO is the most effective alliance which deals with security issues. So probably in some circumstances, if not in terms of membership, a very close partnership with other non-member states currently can be established.
The world should be multipolar, and NATO should respect interests of other powers in regions like Eastern Europe or Caucasus.
We don't have local security, we are talking about global security threats, so that's why NATO or any organization that would serve as a safeguard for values of democracy and freedom and safety should be global.
The more members NATO has, and it's more able to cope with their aims and purposes, such as guarantee or guardian of the global security and global order.
There is an interconnection. In that sense, that both NATO and Velvet Revolution mean the victory for the values which we stand for. That means the democracy, freedom, rule of law.
I think that NATO impersonates all the values our fathers and our mothers were shouting for here at Bratislava's main square.
I think NATO is related to these values because We have fought for this 20 years ago, and now NATO is the institution which is trying to ensure that these values will be not taken from us.
Absolutely, 1989 was all about democracy. It was all about peace, about freedom, liberty, and I think that NATO is based on the same values.
I think that we are still looking in Afghanistan for the right approach in addressing the problems that still are in Afghanistan.
If you look at reactions to what's going on these days, for example, the casualties among the Italian soldiers and the following reaction, that's very important, how the Western governments are going to react to.
I'm lucky to be born in the transatlantic area because it is a guarantee. It is a guarantee of security, of freedom, of democracy and happiness.
Well, I think that young people, or we can say young Atlanticists that support the ideas of NATO, which are freedom, liberty and democracy, they have kind of obligation to uphold these ideas and to contribute personally to the promotion of these ideas.
I consider myself to be an Atlanticist, and for me the Atlanticist means to share and promote the values on which the democratic societies have been built on.
And I think this is the main role of NATO, by fulfilling and carrying out its missions to spread forward ideals of democracy. That's also the best defense, I think.
Nowadays, NATO should be mainly the guard of peace in the world.
I think it's a huge benefit, the huge success of Slovakia. Maybe not everyone in Slovakia feels it because of people who are living in villages, and so they see only money from European Union. But now we Slovaks can create a history, not be just a part of things are not happening to us, but we make it. So
NATO must stay also the efficient military alliance. As Elvis Presley sang in his song, "A little less conversation, a little more action." I think we need this approach in Afghanistan, and I'm sure we may need it also in the future.
I think that NATO should keep it in its process. It should follow its way of life. I think it has been changing since 1949, and it has adopted. It has been adopting during 60 years, and it will be ready to face new challenges in the world.
The role of the alliance should remain what it always has been: peace and security. Our society and individual people perform best when they are afforded peace and security. Today, we may not be able to identify the enemy to our peace and security as easily as we could when the alliance was born. But it doesn't mean that we do not need to protect ourselves. The conventional military threat to Euro-Atlantic area may be currently low, but as the old Latin proverb has it, if we want peace, we should be ready to fight for it.